Welcome back to PSS, everyone. Today I'm here again with another product review, this time of a guitar pedal. Now, those of you that are familiar with the channel probably know that I'm a big fan of digital plugins for recording stuff, but when it comes to my practice rig and jamming out, playing gigs, whatever, I do still love me some pedals. I still have a pedal tray and pedal board, as well as a combo amplifier that I play out of if it's not recording. I just use this because it's cheap, relatively. You get a lot of stuff for your dollar, and it's really easy to change your sound after you record it. But for, you know, jamming out and stuff, I still love some pedals. So our first pedal review on this channel is going to be of the Mooer Micro PreAmp pedal number 008. This is a relatively new line of pedals by Mooer. I've never bought anything from Mooer. I think it's Mooer, like a cow Mooer. It's 2 O's, so if I'm screwing that up, just disregard that. And they have a series of 10. There's another series of 10 that are almost ready to go, and that will release if these do well, and I hope so because I'm really impressed with this pedal. And what this is basically a shrunk down version of a real amplifier's preamp. And within the first series, they have amps such as the Engel Blackmore, a Diesel Hagen, Marshall JCM 800, perhaps 8000, but I think it's the 800. And this one, which is a MESA BOOGIE Mark III, which is one of my favorite amps of all time. Now, in a very similar manner that companies like Fractal Audio or Line 6 would sample a real amplifier in cabinets and put, 150 of them in a rack unit or a floorboard, Mooer did the same thing with different amplifiers, except instead of putting them all in some really big expensive unit that costs $1,000 to $3,000, they put it in a single pedal, which means that, for $1,000 you get 10 amps, but I don't think that's what anyone would be using this for. I'll get to use cases in a moment. So I was actually able to snag this for 80 bucks off the Primax website. That's the only place I could find them because of a code. So do keep an eye on it. It's worth $100 to me though. So what does it do? Why should you be interested? What are your use cases? And how does it compare to a real thing? So I'm going to have a video coming up explaining the differences between a preamp pedal and a distortion pedal and an overdrive pedal, because they're kind of thrown around loosely, and for people that are looking to assemble a pedal board or just starting out, it's kind of not really obvious what they are. So a preamp, what this does is, like I said before, replace or simulate a certain amplifier. So what you can do with this thing, the main use case is what you would do, at least what I'm going to be using it for primarily, is you take this, you can put an overdrive, like a tube screamer in front of it, and you run it into the effects loop of your amplifier. You could do this to either spice up a solid state amp like I have that isn't really that great as far as drive channel goes, but still has decent speakers and can get really loud. Or if you have something decent, a really good tube amp like a rectifier or what have you, you can use this as a really cheap way to get a different sound, a completely different sounding amplifier without having to buy another head. That way you reuse the power tubes you already have, you still use the cabinet, and it basically just gives you another amp. Now, all of these pedals have 2 channels that you can activate by clicking this little button here, switches between clean and your lead channel. Now, when all of these knobs are in the 12 o'clock position, that is when it will be closest to the amp that was modeled, because all these amps were modeled with, everything at the 12 o'clock or 5, whatever it's labeled on the amp. And the more that you tweak it, the less realistic it is compared to the real thing, but it still sounds fantastic. You also have your volume and your gain, which works on both the clean and dirty channel, which you can switch by pressing this button. The really nice thing about this is the controls are independent of each channel. So you set your EQ for one and your gain. You switch the channel and you can change it on that channel. So for instance, for this, I like the mids cut pretty hard on the clean channel, but then I like it, a decent boost, 5 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and even a little bit more on the lead channel, and I don't have to say, oh, I'm screwed, I have to pick one or the other. It's not, which is really, really nice, really convenient. Also, that's something that's really convenient. If you hold down this button for 2 seconds, it actually activates a cabinet impulse response. Now, why that's useful is if you're plugging directly into something like a stereo or a PA, and that means you don't have to drag, a real amp with a emulated line out. You don't have to have, something like an Axe FX or Line 6 you just can have this and an overdrive pedal, and you can, you know, rock out over a PA or a stereo, and it sounds pretty good. It's not as great, in my opinion, as some of the impulse responses I use in this video that you can hear, but it's still really, really serviceable. Of course, if you're running through something like a real power amplifier and cabinet, you would want that disabled, but it is a really, really convenient system, and I like it a lot. Now, as the Micro name suggests, Mooer makes a bunch of micro pedals. This thing is freaking tiny. It's actually a bit smaller than a micro noise gate I have from Donner, and it looks like an ant next to even a MXR Zakk Wylde overdrive, which used to be the smallest pedal in my signal chain for a long time, which is pretty funny. And of course, you put a multi-effects pedal up to it, it's just hilarious. So the one disadvantage to it being so small is that it does not have 9-volt battery support, which means that you have to use the input, but I would say most of you, that's not going to be a problem. You can, you know, this is like your first pedal you've ever picked up. You can just buy a multi power supply from something like Donner or One Spot for 15-20 bucks, and I've had mine for like 10 years and it's still going strong. So not a big deal. It's a sacrifice I'll gladly take, because 9-volt batteries suck for pedals. And maybe it'd be a different story if they were rechargeable, if you want to take it on the go for, you know, some quick shows or whatever, but just get you a power supply. It's not that big of a deal. So I'll give you a few demos here, playing through this pedal, both with overdrive engaged and disengaged, both with using the built-in cabinet impulse response, as well as some ones that I use in Cubase. I'll use my Les Paul, I'll use a little bit of my Agile 8 string, though I'll probably stick to the 7th and 6th strings, because I have not changed strings on that thing in a long time. I haven't used it for recording, so it's going to be a little dead and sloppy, but it still should give you a bit of a glimpse to how some lower range stuff will sound through this. So here's a little bit of the 008 in action. I haven't been able to use this thing in a full production yet, and I've not had it too long, but from my first impressions and that playthrough you heard there, I am very impressed. It makes me even that more excited to get something in the big boy territory like the AX8, where you have 150 of these, of that amp sim quality. So this will definitely serve me well on my practice rig, and I bought this 008 in particular for a couple reasons for my own use cases. That is, one, I always loved the MESA BOOGIE Mark III. It was kind of like the Mark, as far as the Mark series of amplifiers go, that's like the best one to me. The 2C Plus is amazing. I just always loved the Mark series even more than the dual rectifier. So to see that one of these was out for that cheap is like, what's the worst that can go wrong? But for a personal project, I want to use this for a southern flavored heavy metal project I'm working on. It has a little bit of that twang in it that I want, especially when you couple it with the Zakk Wylde overdrive. So that's what I'm going to be using it for, and for general gigging and just jamming out through my Marshall amp in the effects loop. That way, this thing's pretty versatile, and you can always throw a distortion pedal in front of the clean channel if you want something a bit different. So yeah, I'm very happy with this thing. I really hope that this takes off for Mooer and they come out with even more preamp pedals. There's a bunch out there, but the ones I heard, I was never like, it's whatever. But ever since I heard some demos at the NAMM shows, like, okay, I might have to get my hands on one. So I'm hoping they are successful and they do come out with another 10. If they could, I don't even know. I've got a wish list too long, but if they could come out with like a Randall Satan, oh my God, or a Fortin Meathead or something like that, I might buy one, even though I could get something similar in an Axe Effects just to have it in my pedal setup. I mean, they're so small. It's like you can fit 1,000 of these on a pedal train. It's not even going to take up any room. So yeah, I very much like this. If you have a halfway decent amp with an effects loop, if you have a really nice amp with an effects loop, you're just looking for something to spice up your signal chain and get a different sound, or if you're just getting into recording but plugins aren't really your thing, I think this is a great way to start. It sounds fantastic, especially for the price point. It's got a lot of features, and it's not going to take up a whole lot of room, so that is really cool. Like I said, $100, you can get them off of Primax right now, I know for a fact, and they should be coming to Sweetwater and Amazon, Musicians Friends, Guitar Center, all that good stuff. Look out for promo codes. I think I used like TAC20 or something, and I got this for 20 bucks off, so $80 makes me even happier, but it's totally worth $100 if you can't and you don't want to wait. And like I said, be sure to go check out the other amps like the Diesel Hagen and the Ingle Blackmore that are modeled. I just wanted a Mark III, and I certainly got more than I wanted. So yeah, pretty much full marks across the board for what I wanted. I can't wait to test it out in my practice rig. Hopefully I can update you on that when I do, but for what I demoed, I'm a big fan. So yeah, go check them out. And not getting promoted or anything to do this, as usual. I spent my own money on this, but I'm very happy with it, and I hope some pedal enthusiasts out there can see the genius behind this product and one similar to that. So yeah, that'll be it for now. Hope you like this video. Be sure to stay tuned, like I said, for some videos that within the explained playlist, where I talk about the differences between stuff like this and an overdrive pedal and how you should use them. And if you have any questions about how you might want to incorporate something like this into your signal chain, just let me know. I'll be sure to get back to you ASAP. So, hope you like that, and we will see you down the road with more product reviews when I get spare cash for them. Thanks for watching. Bye.